jungle sounds different at night when you're waiting to get hit. I was a machine gunner on a small firebase in the 1st Corps, 1968. Hilltop, wire around us. Bunkers dug into red clay. Big guns in the center. Smaller ones on the edge. We were there to throw artillery out into the dark for other people. Some nights, the dark threw things back. This was late in the monsoon. Everything was damp sandbags, uniforms, even the air. Our position was on the east side of the perimeter. I had an M60 set up on a low sandbag wall, field of fire down a slope that dropped into elephant grass and scrub. Daytime, you could see forever. At night, under overcast, you could barely see past the wire. We were supposed to get hit sooner or later. Everyone knew it. You could feel it in how people smoked, how they talked quieter after sunset. My assistant gunner, Weller, handed me a can of linked 7.62 and sat down beside me in the bunker, helmet pushed back. "You think they'll pick tonight?" he asked. "They're not sending us a schedule," I said. The radio traffic had been busy all afternoon. Reports of movement out beyond the hills. Patrols bumping into small groups, a couple of probes on other bases. The kind of noise that says someone is walking pieces into place. At 2,300, the first sign came in the laziest way possible. The jungle went quiet. Insects, frogs, all that background racket gone. The kind of silence that makes the hair on your arms stand up. Weller noticed it too. "That's not friendly," he muttered. The platoon sergeant came by our bunker, crouched low. "Stay sharp," he said. "Intel says we might get a visit tonight. You see anything move out there, you sing out before you squeeze." "Yes, Sergeant," I said. He moved on, checking positions. We sat there in the dark, two heads in a sandbag hole, listening. The sky had just enough cloud glow that you could make out shapes, wire stakes, low scrub, the faint line where the slope broke and dropped off. We heard them before we saw anything. Distant thumps at first. Not artillery. Mortar. Incoming. Someone yelled from another bunker. A second later, the first round landed inside the wire with a flat, ugly crash. Dirt and shrapnel slapped our bunker roof. Another hit near the gun pits. Then another. The base lit up in flashes and shadows. "Stay down until they walk it," Weller said, pressing himself against the wall. Mortar walked around the perimeter, looking for something soft to chew. Our big guns started firing counter-battery, thumping their own answers into the dark beyond, trying to catch the tubes. Between impacts, I heard the sound I'd been waiting for and dreading, a shrill whistle. Then a crump closer to our sector in the draw below. "Short of the wire," I said. "They're prepping." The barrage eased after a minute that felt longer. My ears rang. Dust floated in the beam of my flashlight as I flicked it on for a second to check the gun. Still good. Barrel hot, but not glowing yet. Then the real show started. Flares popped overhead with that weird soft thump, drifting down onto parachutes, turning the world into jerky black and white. Under that light, the slope below us looked like some kind of bad dreamstock shadows. Waving grass, bare patches of earth, and figures in the grass. "Movement front," I shouted. "Multiple. Maybe 20 plus. Hold fire until they're inside the wire markers." The platoon sergeant's voice came over the net. "Don't waste ammo on shadows." It didn't feel like shadows. As the flare swung, I saw them clear of dark uniforms, hunched shapes moving low, some carrying long tubes, others with satchel bags. They ducked and froze when the light came near, then crawled again when it swung away. Sappers. I lined up the M60, cheek pressed to the stock, sights on the point where the wire started. My world shrank to that strip of ground. Weller fed the belt into the gun, hands steady but breathing a little too fast. "Easy," I said. "Short, controlled. We're not mowing a lawn." "Could have fooled me," he whispered. Another flare popped, painting everything fresh. I saw one of them stand briefly, motioning forward, something strapped across his chest. "Sergeant," I yelled. "I've got guys at the outer wire. Looks like Bangalore or Charges. Guns free." He shouted back. "Take them." I squeezed the trigger. The M60 roared, buttstock slamming into my shoulder, muzzle climb pushing against my grip. Tracers reached out and connected with the moving shapes. One figure jerked and went down hard, something falling from his arms. Another tried to run sideways. I walked the burst through him. Weller shoved more belt into the feed, his face lit orange by the muzzle flashes. The whole perimeter came alive. M16s cracked, other machine guns hammered. Someone popped a claymore with that distinctive hump and the rattle of ball bearings ripping through brush. The sappers who'd made it closer tried to sprint the last few meters to the wire, to the berm, to the gaps they'd hopefully cut earlier. One made it right up to our section, pressed against the wire, clutching something to his chest. "Left!" Weller shouted, pointing. I swung the gun and fired a short burst. The rounds hit him and the ground around him. He spasmed, then went still. Whatever he was holding didn't go off. Grenades started coming in little arcs of dark against a flare glow. One bounced off the bunker lip and rolled down outside, exploding with a sharp crack that showered us with dirt. "Keep your head down between bursts." Weller shouted in my ear. "You are not bulletproof." I wanted to tell him neither was he, but he already knew. Out in front, a sapper made it past the first wire, running low with a satchel charge swinging on a cord. I watched him through the sights for a heartbeat too long, frozen by how determined he looked. Then the M60 barked again, and he tumbled, the charge rolling away into the grass. To our right, another bunker called for illumination. More flares went up. One hung almost directly over our sector, bathing everything in harsh light. I could see faces now, strained and grim, mouths open in shouts or silent screams. "Watch your lane," the platoon sergeant yelled as he ran by behind us. "Don't cross fire into your neighbors." We held our sector, firing in short, punishing bursts whenever we saw movement, letting the gun cool just enough between runs. The barrel smoked in the damp air. Brass piled around our knees. At some point, the sound changed. The volume from outside the wire dropped. The returning fire AKs, RPG streaks thinned. The shapes moving in the grass weren't pushing forward anymore. They were crawling back, dragging others, stumbling away. "Cease fire unless you see targets," came over the net. "Let's see if they're done or just catching breath." I took my finger off the trigger, breathing hard. My ears were one long ring with gunfire faint under it. Smoke hung low over the slope, mixing with the burning phosphor smell from the flares. For a minute, nothing moved out there. Then, artillery started hitting farther out defensive fire missions, walking across likely withdrawal routes. Each impact flashed on the horizon, a reminder that we weren't the only teeth on this hill. Weller sagged back against the sandbags, wiping his face with a filthy sleeve. "You good?" he asked. "Ask me in an hour," I said. We changed the barrel on the M60, hands moving on autopilot. The old one hissed where a drop of water from the bunker roof hit it. I racked a fresh belt into place. Over the next half hour, there were a few scattered shots, someone trying to finish off wounded or cover a retreat. We fired back when we saw anything, but the big push was over. The jungle noises crept back in, cautious at first, then louder, like nothing had happened. Near dawn, they sent a sweep team out beyond the wire. I stayed on the gun while they moved carefully through the elephant grass, calling back reports. "Multiple Kia in front of the east side," came one report. "Looks like they were carrying Bangalore sections and satchel charges. At least one machine gun position farther back, neutralized by Artie. We got lucky. A couple of wounded on our side, no dead on our section. Other parts of the perimeter didn't do as well." Word filtered along the line one bunker had taken a direct mortar hit. Another had had a sapper make it to the wire with a charge before they cut him down. It all blurred into numbers and names. After sunrise, I finally stepped out at the bunker and looked properly at the ground we'd been tearing up all night. Body shapes in dark uniforms. Bits of equipment. Wire tangled around limbs. Dark stains in the dirt that the coming rain would smear, but not erase. My hand shook when I tried to light a cigarette. Weller saw and didn't say anything. Just cupped his own hands around the match for me. "You did your job," he said. "Yeah," I said. "So did they." Later, someone higher up would call it a repelled ground attack with moderate enemy casualties. They'd put it in a report with a grid and a few lines of text. For me, it stayed as the night I watched a strip of ground in front of my gun go from empty to full of moving shapes and back to still, all under drifting flares and the beat of my own pulse. People talk about firefights like they're all chaos. Sometimes they are. But on Matt Hill, that night, my world was just the width of my sights, the feel of a hot trigger under my finger, and the simple, terrible rule of the perimeter. If they get past you, they get to the guys behind you. So you keep the gun up, keep feeding it, and hope the flares don't go out before you do.